Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
Magic schools, magic covens, and the magic of Broadway. Hold on to your spell slots, because that's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I'm your guild master, Rick Perry, the deity of faking it until you make it.
And I am your guild master, Baron Kane, and I'm pretty sure Tyrion Lannister prays to me.
Can confirm.
Yay.
All right. I, yesterday, just finished watching Chaos, and I thought it was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I think it was pretty amazing. I'm already looking forward to next season. And apparently it's already been renewed.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. I hadn't heard if it had been or not.
It is coming to me by word of mouth. I haven't actually looked to confirm. But I mean, I guess that's easy to confirm, right?
Should be.
Yeah, you would think.
I don't know. A lot of fake news travels around.
Yeah, it looks like based off of Collider, the season or the showrunner is pretty confident they'll get something. So,
gotcha.
He said that he was dreaming of a 3-season show.
Well, that's awesome. I think it's really cool that they hired a bunch of actually Greek actors for the show. I was doubting Jeff Goldblum's. Yeah, I mean, like, at least they appear Greek to me. I mean, I don't know. This is another case of I did zero research.
Right.
But a lot of the people appeared Greek to me in the show.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
There 100% is. Just got to dig around to find it.
Yeah, I'm not. Oh, give me 1 second, because I just really want to confirm, because it looks like there are several British actors.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say like it's an entirely Greek cast, but
I'm having a hard. Honestly, I don't know if you want to leave that in the.
Yeah, I'll leave it in. I don't care that if I make a mistake. It's fine.
Cool. Yeah, because I don't think that there is, like, even the guy that played Poseidon is Maori.
Oh, well, then that goes to show what I know. I should have known by the tattoos. But let me put it to you this way. I'm glad the entire Greek pantheon wasn't just a bunch of old muscly white guys.
Oh yeah. Oh, let me tell you. I'm pretty happy that this show tackled sex scenes using non-conventionally attractive, I say with huge air quotes,
right?
Conventionally attractive individuals. Like, you have older couples, you have gay couples, you have a couple with a transgender man. I don't think I saw a single. Trying to remember, I don't think I remember seeing a single cis
white heteronormative couple.
Correct. I'm trying to think. No,
I can't think of one.
No, because even like Orpheus and Riddy, I think they were about to have a sex scene and it got interrupted.
Yeah, and even them as a couple, they're still interracial.
Outside of that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'll be honest, when Tiffany first told me about the series and told me that Jeff Goldblum was playing Zeus, I was like, who would cast Jeff Goldblum as Zeus? And then I saw the series and I was like, wow, perfect. Yeah, perfect casting.
Perfect. I was really happy with the casting of Dionysus. I'm not a huge fan of how they wrote him, but at the same time, it's like, they're playing him off as a very, very young god,
right?
And they're going off of that.
Yeah, which makes sense in the lore of the universe,
right? And I will say, all things considered, looking at the characters who are centered in the show, they're all really Dionysus-centric. So I'm really expecting them to do something huge with him next season.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like a lot of the story focused around him as is. Well, enough of it, if I can say that. I mean, it wasn't. Obviously, there were other focuses to the story, but if you had to name the lead characters, Dionysus would definitely be on that list. And it wouldn't surprise me if they continued that focus, if not expanded it in season 2.
Well, I don't even necessarily need him to become like the main character, but he needs to become more powerful.
Come into his own.
Yes.
Well, the timing of this was really fortunate for me because I also just got gifted on Steam by Guild Officer Grizz the game Stray Gods.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know if you've played it or if you've heard of it.
I have.
Okay. And I just did 2 playthroughs back to back of Stray Gods around the same time I was watching Chaos. So, like, my entire media world has been dominated by Greek mythology recently.
Right.
And I gotta tell you, that game is fucking fantastic.
It's fucking fantastic. The voice cast alone is amazing.
Yeah.
The character design is great. Pan is great. Though I will say this, Pan, his design in Stray Gods reminds me a lot of... It's not like the same thing. That's not what I'm saying, but it reminds me a lot of the design that they have for Pan in the game Scion. It's a tabletop role-playing game, if anybody cares. I've only played the first edition. They're out the second edition, but you play Children of the Gods. And they have Pan in there, and he looks amazing, and it reminds me a lot of this character design in Stray Gods.
Yeah, I chose to romance Pan in my second playthrough.
Yeah.
Which, once again, just fantastic. Love the character of Hermes in that one. Mm-hmm. Fell in love with Eros instantly.
Oh, Eros. Good Lord. Yeah.
Which I guess that's kind of the point.
Yeah. It was like I saw him, I was like, oh, goals. Goals. I would love to be built like that, man.
But yeah, if you haven't played it, it's not super expensive on Steam. Now that I've played it a couple times, I have like one more playthrough I want to do because like there's 3 main types of main character you can be, I guess is the way you would say it in the playthroughs, and I want to do one run of each. And then there's a pretty good chance I'll be buying the DLC to play through it.
Yeah, I still have not gotten the DLC yet.
Which, from what I understand, is kind of like a prequel where it's the story of Orpheus.
I will definitely have to look into that then.
But yeah, a lot of good stuff coming out of Greek mythology recently. Not that we've ever really lacked that in media.
Yeah, it seems to be the go-to kind of mythology. And just based off of personal preference, I enjoy it. My preferences, what I like. The Greek pantheon is very close to my heart. However, I really think I would enjoy seeing more respectful representations of mythologies from other cultures and just stuff like that. Like the gods of Egypt was not a look.
Sure. How did you feel about the representation of Egypt mythology in like Moon Knight?
I always have kind of a bad taste in my mouth when it comes to the gods being portrayed as like mainly bad, which I mean, I guess Chaos kind of leans that way too, but
100%.
Chaos definitely, they strike me more as selfish more than anything else. Yes, they do some fucked up shit, but I don't know.
No, fair enough.
I'll say I liked it because they broke them out as kaiju, which was kind of fun. You don't see Thor doing that. You don't see, Hercules doing that. So it's kind of like the MCU isn't really staying consistent with their gods, which is probably my main complaint about it. But past that, I thought it was fun. Yeah,
absolutely. And then I thought in God of War Ragnarok, the general portrayal of the Pantheon in that one was pretty good. Not saying that, these are examples against what you were saying, just saying, agreeing with you that we need more stuff like that.
Right, yeah. But I mean, it's like, when you look at, they do really good representations of the Greek gods, and then you go straight to, and this isn't like me digging into you or anything, but anybody could do this, where you go straight from, good representation of the Greek gods. Also, the Norse gods also are doing pretty good representation. It's like, well, of course they are.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, I would love to see, we'll talk about this guy later, I'm sure, but I thought American Gods did a good job bringing different cultures, deities to the forefront and, showing off who they are.
Well, we are getting some more Eastern stuff with Black Myth Wukong, which of course is just Journey to the West.
What's up with that fucking game, man?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, but that came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere for people who weren't watching for it. Like there's a core group of fans, and it's basically Souls-like fans and, From Software fans. And they heard about this game coming out, and they've been sitting on the edge of their seat waiting for the release. And then the general populace is just kind of like, whoa, this came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not only did it just get released and everybody was talking about it, but then it was all these ads started coming out of nowhere, and it was just constantly being shoved down my throat. And I'm like, who are you people? And then I saw the game and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Why am I just now hearing about this? So yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, it's just yet another interpretation of A Journey to the West. As a matter of fact, I think it's supposed to be set after A Journey to the West, which it feels like anytime we get Eastern mythology over here, it's always A Journey to the West.
Yep.
But, I mean, a good representation of that's better than nothing.
Sure.
And I will always root for my boy Sun Wukong.
Right, yeah, he's fun.
But as long as we're on video games, the PlayStation 5 Pro just got revealed recently.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea who's excited for this.
Probably people who have a disposable income and the need to show off the fact that they have a PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only reason to buy one that I can find. It starts at $700, and then if you want a disc drive for it, it's an extra $100, and you have to buy it separately. It's not like there's a disc drive version. There's like an external disc drive that you can buy for $100 to slap onto the thing. So it's already $100 more than the current PS5 before adding the disc drive. And the only thing that's really improving is the graphics quality and the processor quality and a little bit more memory.
Mm-hmm.
And even the graphics that you're getting improved, for most people, they're not going to be able to tell the difference. I don't know. It seems like a bad move on the part of Sony here. Not that they've been making good moves anytime recently. I'm sure they'll make their money because, like you said, people will get it just for the status symbol of it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They're also selling the vertical stand separately, which came for free with every PlayStation 5 previously, but now it's sold separately.
That's ridiculous.
The only reason I could possibly see to buy a PlayStation 5 Pro is if you are like the biggest Grand Theft Auto fan ever, and Grand Theft Auto 6 is on the way out, and this machine legitimately will play Grand Theft Auto 6 better than the current PlayStation 5, and it is going to be a PlayStation exclusive for a while, but they will eventually release it for PC. Other than that, there aren't a ton of PS5 exclusive games that are worth the price, and every single one that is runs great on the current PS5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've not had any complaints.
The whole thing just screams cash grab to me.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, it comes back down to, the corporations and the shareholders. They saw record profits at some point, and then now they're wondering, why aren't we having record profits? And they're trying to do everything but what they are needing to do to be able to make that profit back, and it's not working.
It just frustrates me to no end that they don't learn the lessons that are so obvious in front of them. Like, they just released that new Astrobot game, and people love it. Mm. It was in development for about 3 years. It's beautiful, it's fun, it rivals games like Mario Odyssey, and it's on a lot of people's Game of the Year list right now, and people are buying it like crazy. And yet, the chances of them making another fun platformer like that are slim to none. even though they have some of the best IPs, they could put out a good Crash Bandicoot, they could put out a good Jak and Daxter. Either that, or just start doing better with Spider-Man. Stop releasing crap Spider-Man. And I don't know what it is about Sony that they think this is the way that they're going to make money, when obviously people are spending money on the good Spider-Mans. People are spending money on like the Astrobot game and like some of these other good exclusives that you have. Why are we not focusing on these projects? Mm-hmm. It's frustrating.
It is.
And I know I'm a broken record on this podcast when it comes to Sony, and I just keep ranting about it over and over again, but I just can't help it.
I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's really something that I really think that it's something that is kind of whether we want to admit it or not, it is plaguing everybody. There are certain companies that have sidestepped that whole, just putting out crap kind of thing and expecting to be making that money still, but for the most part, no. They're just kind of doing the same humdrum shit.
Not to mention after the whole Helldivers debacle, where like they tried to make it so you had to have a Sony account or a PlayStation account in order to play Helldivers, even if you're playing it on PC. Even after they fixed that, they then went and made the game unavailable in the 180 countries that it would have been unavailable in if you had to have a PlayStation account. So those people, whether they bought the game or not already, still can't play it. And they did the same thing with a bunch of their other games in their catalog, including God of War Ragnarok, which that's a single-player game. Why are you putting online restrictions on a single-player game?
Yeah, and that explains why there's been just people dropping off from Helldivers and not playing it anymore.
That and the release of Space Marine 2.
Well, it was happening before that.
Yeah, it's true. But, like, a very large amount left Helldivers for Space Marine 2, which honestly is a good thing. Regardless of the reason that they're doing it, Space Marine 2 is a better game made by a better developer that has completely gotten rid of the freemium model, and like all the unlocks in the game are in-game currency, and I don't know, they're not making their game unavailable for 180 countries. Right,
exactly. Yeah. I like knowing that the developers of Helldivers 2, or the people who made that game, not necessarily the CEO or whatnot, but the actual workers on that game got paid.
Yes.
They're good. And they're probably going to be good elsewhere if they want to work anywhere else.
Absolutely.
So, yep. Good for you guys.
Yeah, up with the developers of Helldivers, down with the publisher.
Yep.
Man, fuck Sony. Let's switch to some good news, because I'm not sure how much good news we're going to have for the rest of this podcast. Regardless of the fact that it is technically promoting D&D, I am happy about the fact that there is now a tabletop role-playing show live on Broadway called The 20-Sided Tavern. It's been going on for a little while. Its run has been sold out pretty much every show for as long as it's been up, which is fantastic. It just shows that people are supporting the hobby, which is great. And in order to get on Broadway, it probably had to be D&D, because it had to be something mainstream enough to hit it. But for anyone who is thinking about going and seeing this show, or hasn't seen the show yet, and for some reason has the money to go to New York and go to a Broadway show, they have announced 3 special guests that will be joining the cast for special showings of the show. The special guests that will be added will be Felicia Day, Abria Iyengar, and Erika Ishii.
Neat.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see the hobby, especially the people who, I don't know, are celebrities in this world, I guess you would say. Not necessarily mainstream celebrities. I guess Felicia Day is becoming more and more of a mainstream celebrity. She's been on like TV and stuff. But the celebrities in this hobby are getting their due, and it's kind of permeating more of culture than just like the internet culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does kind of go into the whole D&D thing. Like, I know I've expressed my distaste of D&D as of late, but I would like to clarify that it is not D&D that I have a dislike for.
No, we dislike WotC.
Yeah.
And specifically Hasbro. Honestly, there are probably people in WotC who are fantastic people, and they're just, shackled by their shareholders.
If you think about it, though, they are slowly replacing the people in the Dungeons and Dragons IP and Wizards of the Coast with people who agree with Hasbro.
That's true.
So while we may be cool with them now, who knows? Here pretty soon they maybe all replace the people that we can't fucking stand.
Yeah.
And I do realize that, they're companies made up of people who are just wanting to put food on their table. But God, there's got to be a better way.
Well, hopefully it'll turn out like... So we got this show on Broadway, and we're starting with just this one big D&D show, right? And it kind of feels the same way that it happened on Twitch. Like, there were actual play shows before Critical Role. I mean, like, you've heard me sing the praises of Acquisitions Incorporated and stuff like that, but none of them really took off like Critical Role did. And now, after the success of Critical Role has moved on from D&D, and there are tons of other shows that cover tons of other game systems other than just D&D, like Dimension 20. And even some of these other shows that are technically still using D&D are so far removed from the system or the themes that unless you knew, you wouldn't necessarily know they were playing D&D. Like, I feel like Dungeons and Daddies, for example, you wouldn't know that was D&D unless somebody told you that was D&D.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I doubt very highly that for most of these, that WotC or Hasbro is seeing any money. I cannot confirm or deny that WotC is getting any money from the 20-sided Tavern. But my entire point is that if this does well, which it is doing well to the point that now they're looking at touring the rest of the country, we'll see more shows and shows using other systems in the future, I think.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I just really think that the one thing D&D has over the other systems is they've got the money.
Yeah.
They've got the mainstream appeal. So, I think if someone was to do the same thing, but they're like, we're going to do Vampire the Masquerade, and ain't nobody going to go watch that, even though it's a rather popular system.
I feel like I would have said the same thing about a lot of the systems that Dimension 20 is using right now, years ago. And Dimension 20, as far as I know, started with D&D. I never watched the first season, so do you know?
Say it again.
Dimension 20 started with D&D.
Oh, I thought you were making a statement. I didn't know you were asking a question. Yes, it did. No. Well, Dimension 20 started with... Yes. Yeah, it did start with D&D.
So I could see...
As soon as you made it a question, you made me doubt myself. But yes. It was... Because it was the Fantasy High.
Yeah, I could see this show, 20-Sided Tavern, or another show starting with D&D, really making a name for themselves until people just recognize the name, at least the kind of people who would go to a Broadway show, recognize the name 20-Sided Tavern, and then they do a different show or a different run, and they use something entirely different, and I could see it being successful just because of what I've seen, on the internet here in the past, with all these shows like making their name with D&D, and then once they have their own name, they're moving on. I don't know, could just be being optimistic.
Yeah, well, I know in the case of like Critical Role, they started out with Pathfinder, which is just D&D,
right?
Just a different company, and then they moved over to D&D because of that mainstream appeal,
right?
So,
but now they're moving on from D&D too.
Well, and I will say in their case, it is definitely we built a brand and we want to make more money off of our brand.
Right.
So, they're seeing, if we made our own game, we would make money off of our brand. So that's kind of where that comes down to.
I feel like there's an alternate universe, though, where Hasbro and WotC didn't start pulling evil shit, where Critical Role just continued to work with them and release supplements in order to make more money off of their own brand. Like, I don't feel like... obviously it was some of what you said, probably mostly of what you said, but I don't feel like the move was entirely just to make money off of their own system based off their own brand. I feel like some of it was to distance themselves from WotC.
Well, I also think that maybe there is a good chance too, because of their association with the game, and I know that they were working closely with. They had to have been working closely with Wizards of the Coast. They had to have heard some of the writing on the wall,
right?
With the OGL scandal coming up.
Yep.
And they were probably like, "Yeah, we are not going to be doing this," and paying them big time money. So yes, you're probably right. They probably did it to preserve their own. Oh boy, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reputation.
Agency.
Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, to be able to, hey, we make this money. It's our money, not Wizards' money. So
right. So yeah, I could see Broadway expanding the same way, like as far as Broadway shows that are TTRPG related, expanding or changing the same way that the internet shows did, as long as the money's still coming in and as long as brand recognition can be built.
When's Dimension 20 going to make their own?
That's a really good question. I know they've done, live shows, of course, but also it would mean that Dimension 20 would have to put together a cast that would stay to run however many shows a week on Broadway.
Oh, no. I meant like, when's Dimension 20 going to make their own system?
Well,
I switched gears.
They kind of have a couple times, right? Because they wrote their own system for Starstruck. Was that what it was called? Starstruck?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, that one they wrote their own system for, or like
Did they?
Yeah, or Brennan said he worked with somebody to write a system for it. Like the system didn't exist before that, and they have modified Kids on Bikes so many times that they might as well have their own systems. Yeah. Never Stop Blowing Up is basically just a super modified version of Kids on Bikes, but still it's modified enough that it might as well be its own system.
Yeah, what's funny is the more I watched it, the more it reminded me of the Polygon system.
You mean the polymorph?
Yep, sorry.
Yeah.
I have the shapes in my head right now. The polymorph system. It reminded me a lot of that.
I could see that. Yeah. It's just the polymorph system with constantly evolving die types.
Yeah. Which, is kind of the point of that game, is to, never stop blowing up.
Yep.
It looks like they used Star Wars 5th edition.
For Starstruck?
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Granted, it's a wiki article, but I mean, I can track down the source, but
I mean, I could have made this memory up in my head, but I feel like in the first episode, Brennan said that they wrote a whole system for that game. Yeah. And it could have been that they heavily modified a system, which they're known to do.
Obviously, yeah.
And like I said, I could be entirely making up that memory in my head. But yeah, either way.
It says on the Dropout Discord, 13th of January, 2022, quote, "Did you guys consider Starfinder as well, or were you set on Star Wars 5e from the start?" He responded, "We considered Starfinder as well. Love Starfinder. Both great systems." If that's their only source, that could have definitely been taken out of context.
Yeah.
It also could be he misunderstood the question, too. He could just be saying, yeah, both Star Wars and Starfinder were great, and they used their own system. Yeah, so to me, that's not confirmed. So it could still have been their own system.
Yeah, I mean, I could always go back and watch the episode and see, but obviously we're not going to do that right now.
No, let's do it.
But you don't know, there is a company that you can go to where you don't need to write your own system and you can still have a lot of sci-fi fun. And that's Level Up Sabers. Could you use an awesome lightsaber for cosplay, dueling, or home decoration? Check out Level Up Sabers, the only lightsaber guaranteed better than a stick. And with lots of fairly priced options, including baselit and Xenopixel, you'll be able to find exactly what you're looking for without breaking the bank.
Every Level Up Saber comes equipped with color change, gesture controls, volume control, sound fonts, and flash on clash. With the baselit options being strong enough to duel with, and the Xenopixel options adding even more cool effects. To check them out and help Casters Guild, click our link in the description.
All right, coming back in, like I said, the rest of this episode's most likely going to be bad news.
You wanted to start it off with the worst one?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows by now, obviously.
Yeah, it's not like it's breaking news, especially with how we record and how we edit and when this episode will be released. But unfortunately, James Earl Jones has passed away at the age of 93.
It was a good long run.
Oh yeah, it kind of felt like he was the guy who was never going to die, you know?
Right. Yeah, the guy who was always going to be with us.
Of course, we all know James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader. We know him as the voice of Mufasa. This one hurts.
You know, yes, yeah. I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt. But I don't know. This is like one of those. He was 93.
Yeah.
You know, he. You know, I don't like seeing anybody go, but he lived a good full life, as far as I know, and left a huge impact on the world. So.
Yeah, if you want to talk about a well-lived life, you're going to be hard-pressed to find one better than James Earl Jones. At least as far as the impact he left on a lot of people.
Right. Funny thing, the first thing I ever seen him in, live action, well, actually, probably anything, because I think I saw this movie before I saw Star Wars. He was King Joffrey from Coming to America.
Yes. I think I saw Sandlot before I saw Coming to America as a kid, which is probably where I saw him first. And I'm pretty sure I saw Sandlot before I saw Star Wars. Man, he's been in a ton of stuff. And I mean, at his age, it's not like we lost any future projects with James Earl Jones, right?
Yeah, I think he was retired by that time.
Yeah. I mean, he's done a lot of cameos in his older days, but like it's not like they were going to be casting him in the next Star Wars movie. Honestly, I don't know what else to say, but like, maybe sometime this week, seek out some piece of media that he was in that you haven't seen and treat yourself.
Yeah, look for some of his stage stuff.
Oh yeah, he did a lot of Shakespeare, right?
I believe he did some Shakespeare. I mean, with a voice like that, how could you not?
Yeah. All right, in the next bit of bad news, it feels like every time I turn around, there's some hero of the geek community that actually turns out to be a shitbag. And I guess this is still allegations and not necessarily confirmed, but like the way the man is acting, I feel like it's more than confirmed.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've talked about this before when like allegations first came up and we were like, we're watching you, but it's Neil Gaiman.
Yeah,
and
his method of defense is not great.
Yeah. He seems to just be trying to pay women off rather than make the allegations, which kind of makes you look guilty, man.
Yep. I'm sure if one of the people who were accusing him was all of a sudden like, you know what? I'm good. He gave me money. I'm good.
And you know what? I'm going to give the next minute or so a trigger warning because I feel like it needs to be put out there how bad this is. So trigger warning for, essay, sexual assault. I'm reading this off of the Geek Tyrant article, and there's one claim that while they were in a relationship, this woman alleges she was subjected to rough and painful sex that she neither wanted or enjoyed. And at one point, she alleged that he penetrated her despite her objecting because she was in the midst of a urinary tract infection. The incident left her screaming in pain.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a good look. And if this is what happened, not a great person.
Yeah, he tried to pass, and I want you to know that I am at least a very kink and fetish friendly person. He tried to pass it off as kink and fetish. And it's like, no, sir.
Kink and fetish require consent.
Mm-hmm. Overwhelming, enthusiastic consent.
Yes.
And it didn't sound like any of that. Like I think he tried to make it sound like it was CNC.
Yeah.
And it's
definitely
not.
his current defense. Like he is still denying the allegations.
Mm-hmm.
And basically his denial comes down to, hey, this was kink, this was CNC, which I mean, I'd rather, believe women. Okay. I'm not going to say that it's impossible that a celebrity would get a certain amount of fame, get a certain amount of money, and then women who have something on him would not attempt to blackmail him. But it's much more likely that this actually happened, and I'd rather believe the women.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, secondary to whatever happened to this women. Okay, that's whatever happened to these women. That's the real tragedy. But I mean, like, we are a geek culture podcast, so like the way this affects geek culture is, you know, I've loved a ton of the stuff that the man has written and that the man has put out, and a bunch of his stuff was being adapted into really good series. We had the Good Omens series, which is really good. We had Sandman, which was really good. And then Disney was working on a film adaptation of The Graveyard Book, which is a fantastic book, which Disney has now put that on hold. And then Neil Gaiman is saying that he's going to step away from the third season of Good Omens 3 so that it can still happen, regardless of the allegations.
Which even then, though, he's still getting money for it.
Yeah, that's like, the issue. Sorry,
man. And by man, I mean, you know, the actors in in that movie. But it's like, you know, David Tennant, I know that this is probably going to, you know, put you in the poorhouse, but I don't think I'm going to be able to support the show.
Yeah. I feel like, especially once it shifts from allegations to, yep, this guy did this thing, that's going to be somebody who has something to say about it, is David Tennant. Because he's been a pretty outspoken ally for women, LGBTQ, you know, any kind of marginalized community. But like, just back to my original point, it feels like every time I turn around, it's some other person who've like, man, I've really enjoyed your stuff. Why do you have to fucking ruin it? Why do you have to be a shitbag person? Why is it every time somebody starts to create good art and then it becomes mainstream and then people start to, which, from what I understand, that's not what happened in this case. From what I understand, like, he was doing this stuff well before he was, you know, rich/famous.
Yeah.
But still, man, like, it just keeps happening. Like, I feel like I can't enjoy anything anymore. Which I'm not, once again, I feel like I've said this before on the podcast when I've made the same argument. Like, I'm not saying stop canceling people. If people did bad things, they need to be called out for it. It's just, I'm almost afraid to become like a big fan of things anymore, because it's like, what did this guy do that I don't know about?
Yep.
And we talk about it all the time with, like, not only just individual people, but, like, you know, Disney and Sony and WotC and Blizzard, and like anytime something's really cool like that, I'd be willing to spend my money on, there's some shitbag behind it that I don't want to give my money to.
Seems that way for sure.
I don't know. It's the same thing with the Sony thing that I was talking about before. I have nothing new to contribute to the conversation here. It's just I'm ranting about it because it frustrates me.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's a podcast. That's what we do.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of mired in disappointment at the moment, though. It's kind of like, Christ. Since we kind of got into a rant last week, there were a lot of stuff that we didn't, or I can't say a lot of stuff, but there were some things we didn't get to talk about last week. And since we were kind of just struggling just now to figure out what the hell we were going to talk about, I just realized that we had stuff last week that we didn't get to talk about. And also, good timing, because I believe that Dimension 20 just dropped a Season 1 recap of Misfits and Magic, which is getting a Season 3 here September 25th, I think. September 25th? But yeah.
Wait, hold on. Season 3?
Yeah.
I thought they hadn't even done a Season 2 yet.
I'm pretty sure it's a Season 3, isn't it?
The trailer that you posted last week was for Season 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Psh, duh.
Okay.
I'm thinking of I think they did a special, and it made me think that, the holiday special. And then they did a live at Gen Con. So I keep seeing, like, more material that is popping out that is not part of that first season. So it keeps making me think that there's a third season.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes, there is.
Look, you had me scared. I was like, there's a whole season I haven't seen?
No, because not.
I am not as big of a Dimension 20 fan as some. I've loved all the Dimension 20 I've watched. It's just like every other Let's Play series, it's such a huge time commitment. I will say Dimension 20, at least in their individual seasons, is probably the least of a time commitment of a lot of these Let's Play shows.
They make their stuff so consumable.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at around an average of about 2 hours and 20 minutes per episode.
Right.
As opposed to most everybody else's 4 hours.
Yeah. And I believe like Never Stop Blowing Up, for example, was less than 2 hours per episode. That I feel like they were around an hour and 45 per episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But either way, Misfits and Magic is one of the ones that I watched from beginning to end. So I am looking forward to season 2.
It was a great 4 episode season.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize it was only 4 episodes, but they did so well in those 4 episodes.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next season. Also, again, very happy that they're doing stuff and they're putting shit out there that's not D&D.
Yeah. Kids on Brooms evolved from Kids on Bikes. Hunters Entertainment is also coming out with Kids in Capes soon, too. For anybody who's looking for new systems, yeah.
Holy shit. I've been looking for a good super game because Marvel keeps fucking letting me down.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah. I actually have one by Gallant Games. I believe it's Gallant Games. God, I'd have to look. But they do the Tiny D6 system, which if you guys haven't... I've talked about Tiny D6 on here before. If you guys haven't checked out Tiny D6, please check it out because it's super cute, super easy, and they come with okay, let's just say you have fantasy, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the back of the book, they give you 10 different worlds you can play in. It's not a lot of information on these worlds. It's more like here's a primer on this world, go have fun. And they have that for that. They have it for superpowered people or superpowered games. They have it for post-apocalyptic games, and it's all set with their system as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I love that system so fucking much. However, here nor there, I really, really want to start getting more into the kids on bikes, kids on capes, all that kind of stuff. What is it? Is it Gumball, Gumshoe, or Gum?
You're gonna have to give me something here.
I'm trying to think of what it is. It's like the Scooby-Doo thing that the kids on bikes people do.
Oh, is this also Hunters Entertainment?
I believe so.
I'm not seeing anything like that on their website. I've got Alice is Missing, Altered Carbon, Icarus, Kids on Bikes, Outbreak Undead, and Gods of Metal Ragnarok.
Well, who does Kids on Capes?
Well, like I said, they're coming out with it. It's not out yet.
Oh, yeah. Give me 1 second. I'll figure it out. You watch. I didn't. I didn't find out. Bubblegum Shoe. That's it.
Okay.
It's Evil Hat. Sorry.
Evil Hat. So not Hunters Entertainment, but still.
No. Yep. I am a fan of Evil Hat too, though. They do the Fate system. That's what it is. So Monster of the Week. Wait.
Yeah, under the Kids on Bikes system is also the Kids on Brooms, Teens in Space, and then coming soon, Kids in Capes.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I think I got Evil Hat mixed up with them. So, yeah. Well, okay then.
I mean, looking at Evil Hat's website, I could see why.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, especially if they're Blades in the Dark and Monster of the Week. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
Same flavor.
Also, I mean, if anyone was interested, Bubblegum Shoe is $7.95 PDF on Drive-Thru RPG.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you say that you were looking for a good superhero game because you have a good idea for a superhero game, or you just want to play one?
Oh, no, the Spawn has really been wanting to play a superhero game, and I've been kind of wanting to play and or run one. I guess I'd rather play one than run one.
Sure.
But I'll take what I can get, really. But I mean, I do have some systems out there that will work. I have the really, really old Phase Rip Marvel game that's out there. Also, there's a Phase Rip clone out there, and I think it's called Color Columns or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to look. God, I'm sorry, whoever developed that game. But it's basically they just took that system and they made it into another game because you can't copyright a system. Actually, the Spawn picked out a game years ago at Origins called Masks that we still have not played yet. So maybe we'll end up just playing that instead.
Yeah.
It's funny, too, because he was just talking to me about wanting to play more short-form games like, hey, play a one shot here, play a one shot there, and it's like, oh, okay, I can do that for sure.
It's much easier to throw together than a campaign to try to get players to commit to.
Yep.
You can trap people in a one shot. You can just be like, hey guys, come on over for game night, and then they come over for game night, and you're like, this is what we're playing. Mm-hmm. And like they thought they were coming over for, Catan or something, and turns out you're gonna play this funky one shot. That's a whole lot easier than be like, okay, I need everybody to commit to 4 to 6 hours, one night a week, every week for the next year.
This is just a one shot. It's okay. It's okay.
I was watching one of Z's videos, Z Bashu, who we have sung the praises of many times on this podcast, who is like a good way to start a campaign is the 2-shot. And basically you invite everybody over. You invite people knowing that it's going to be a 2-shot. You're like, hey, we're going to run. It's basically a 1-shot, except we're going to leave you with like a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end of the first one, and then just commit to one other game for a 2-shot. And then at the end of the 2-shot, you give them like some nice gear, a nice level up, entice them, and then just wait for somebody to be like, hey, you want to keep playing that game?
Oh, devious.
I like it as an idea. I'm like, you know what, that could work.
Because I mean, yeah, it's funny. Well, especially, you could even do it with the 1-shot. You can just be like, just do the whole, just run them through the 1-shot. Make sure you're not finished by the end of that first day.
Yeah.
Just be like, well, we didn't get to finish. I mean, we can if you want to. We'll just have to do another day.
Just schedule another one.
A year later, are we ever going to finish this 1-shot? I don't know.
You guys are getting close. I promise.
You guys keep wanting to cut out early. 4 hours a day every time.
Yeah, no, I'm only asking for 6. You just keep cutting it 4. I mean, like, if you guys would stay the extra. Oh man, campaign gaslighting. That's basically what that is.
Yeah. I mean, as DMs, I guess we're already kind of good at it. Is there anything behind that door? Nope. Why'd you roll? I didn't roll. You're crazy.
What are you talking about? No dice.
You want to open that door? What? And man, I love how that just spawned a whole fucking conversation. But then also real quick too, I want to talk about like the Agatha All Along that's coming out soon. Mm-hmm. They're putting out the trailers and everything like that, and let me tell you, I've sang the praises of New Rockstars. I'm getting less and less okay with that channel. For lots of reasons. I'll talk about it on Discord if anybody wants to talk about it. But
I think wouldn't we talk about a long time ago, like around the strike, that we were kind of concerned about the turns that New Rockstars were taking?
Yes, absolutely. And it's kind of just getting worse in a bunch of different ways. So yeah, like I said, I can go into more detail on Discord if you guys want to hear, but I won't take too much time blasting them on here. But so Eric Voss became kind of a household name in fandoms, in the MCU fandom at the very least, for thinking that Mephisto was going to show up in every episode of WandaVision.
Sure.
And I will admit that's not a unrealistic expectation if you know anything about the storyline.
Right.
However, they released that trailer, and the teen, as he is billing himself, or as they are billing him, mm-hmm. tries to say his name or something along those lines. We also know how Marvel can be very creative with how they edit stuff.
Yeah.
But it looks like Agatha asks him his name, and he replies, but a cursive M goes across his mouth. Now, I'm watching New Rockstars, and they're like, well, it could be a W, or it could be like a W and an M.
Or it could just be like a squibbly line.
It could be a squibbly line. Yes, you're right. But, but he's like trying to stay as far away from Mephisto as possible. And it's like, okay, man, we get it. But, he was just trying to convince everybody that it is, he's trying to say the name Wanda Maximoff or something. Not that he's saying his name is Wanda Maximoff, but he's trying to say Wanda Maximoff, or that he's trying to say his name and Wanda Maximoff's hex is blocking it. But they show you the library card at the very beginning of the trailer showing her signature, and it doesn't look anything like that.
Mm-mm.
So why would it be that? Now, again, all things considered, I have no reason to believe why that shouldn't just be a stylized M for Mephisto.
Sure.
Either now, and I have heard the theory, and I can't remember from where, it could have been New Rockstars, but the theory is that kid is Mephisto. And
oh,
now hold on. Mephisto has been slated to appear in Ironheart.
okay.
Why? I don't know. But I want you to get a good look at this kid, okay?
Uh-huh.
This teen that I posted a picture of in our private Discord channel.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, you got him?
Uh-huh.
The person that they have cast to play a fully grown man as Mephisto is Sacha Baron Cohen.
Okay. It still seems a little bit like a stretch to me.
You think so?
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. I see it, but it just still...
I will say that either this kid is a Mephisto who appears young, or he's either a Mephisto that appears young, or he's a teenage Billy who has control over him from Mephisto. Like Mephisto is controlling him somehow.
Yeah.
I want to believe that it's Billy.
Honestly, that one, when you told me that's who he was, or like from the first trailer, like that's who you thought he was, that theory makes more sense to me than him being Mephisto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that...
Or like he made some sort of deal with Mephisto in order to exist in this reality, or something like that.
Yeah, man. I don't know. There's a lot going on, but I will also say this: another big thing that points to him being Billy is that he's being played. Obviously, kind of he's queer coded. Let's just say that he's very queer coded, and Billy in the comics is a gay man.
Yeah.
Also a witch, as his name is Wiccan.
Yeah, which could also lean into it being a W instead of an M across his mouth.
It just looks like an M to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I feel like if it isn't an M, then it's just an up and down line. Like it's just if it's not an M and that M is not for Mephisto, then I feel like it's more likely just like a squiggly up and down line in order to cross out someone's mouth, more likely than it is a W. But I think it being an M is probably the most likely thing. Yeah,
and I will say that Mephisto did have a heavy hand in Wanda's children. I say that. If you guys know the comic panel that I'm talking about, you'd know why I was laughing. But a heavy hand in their existence, which is why it was so easy for me to be like, oh yeah, no, I get it. I can see why you can think Mephisto is going to pop up any minute in WandaVision. If he doesn't pop up in Agatha all along, it's not going to make any fucking sense to me. The fact that he's showing up in Ironheart and not Agatha all along, it's like, what the fuck are you even doing, Marvel?
Right. Other than just, they'd have to be trolling people on purpose and trailing them along on purpose at this point.
Right.
In order to not put Mephisto in it. Because Mephisto has been like the lead theory for a ton of stuff, not even just WandaVision. Like everybody's like, oh, it's Mephisto, and then like it's not. It's never Mephisto. It's gonna be the rule of MCU. It's never from Mephisto until it is.
Yeah, he's gonna show up in like fucking the Fantastic Four. Like, what?
What the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah, that's Doctor Doom. What are you doing?
He just shows up. I'm the reason Robert Downey Jr. was Doctor Doom.
Son of a bitch. How weird would that be? He just goes completely meta. You see that? That's my fault. Oh, no, you devil, you.
And then in order to explain the fourth wall break, they just like cut to Deadpool eating popcorn and then move right back to the rest of the movie.
Yep. Just cut cut over to Deadpool eating popcorn out of that fucking Wolverine popcorn bucket.
Yes.
So, wow, this is crazy. And then just cut right back.
And then like pretend it never happened. Nobody acknowledges it.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yep.
hire us, Marvel.
Yeah, hire us. I'll bring MT with me.
Email us at castersguild@gmail.com. Let us know your crazy MCU theories and where you think Mephisto is going to show up. Find us on the Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.